Morning, everybody. I'm Ed Parko with Brian Galke, and we're Aces 53.
Really?
And you better know after a year what the hell what did I say, Galke?
Yeah, you said Galke.
What is your name?
Galke. You're not
Okay,
Steve.
Why did I say Galk?
Yes.
Oh, did I?
Here
I
at that one
apologize. Let's just keep going, though. You're
Yes,
Galk today.
that's right.
Yeah.
I'll always be
All right.
Galke.
So yeah. Hey, I'm sorry. It's been a couple of weeks since we've been on air. You've been so
Yes.
busy, and then we took the holidays off, which was very unusual for me not to be doing as many hours of videos I was doing.
Yeah.
I had all this free time, I thought, but I didn't. Because I got slammed on my other side of the business.
Yeah.
So it was good. Actually, it worked out perfectly.
I was
Except
gonna say,
for
that's
everybody
a
kept
good
going,
problem to have.
yeah, we've never heard from you in a while. You still there? Yes, we're still here. All right. I mean, in about another week or so, this is be a year of us doing this.
Right.
This year, we need to start posting as a podcast.
Yes. Little things.
This episode will be the first one I actually upload as a podcast, but then I need your help to upload it as just video also. Even though we go live on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook, and we can now do Instagram. But then again, StreamYard only does 8 places.
Right. I'm surprised they haven't upped that yet.
Because they don't want to. They're probably they have the issue of, when we do that kind of stuff, when we're like video, yeah, it's them. So could you imagine if you added, everybody's like, oh, can we do 12? Sure. Then you're really slow. And the one thing about Instagram to go live on StreamYard, you actually have to go live on Instagram and StreamYard. So you go StreamYard, then Instagram, and then how that works.
See, I haven't done the Instagram one yet, so that'll be interesting. Okay.
Yeah, well, we'll do it next week.
Yeah. Maybe on with the Joker.
Yeah, well, maybe that's the ones we go live on was with the Joker. I don't know. It just takes it away from all the other places, though.
Mm-hmm.
That means one less on Facebook, one less on this. Well, yeah, my biggest problem with my Instagram account, I post so much to it, it locks it out.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It's like, we have error posting, and then I go to log in, and it's like, error. And then I go through computer, typing in, and it's like flashing. I have to go escape and hit. I'm not a computer. I have to play with it for a while.
Ah, okay. Well, that's a good point. That's one of the things I want to talk about. That from the event I went to this weekend, they're not fans of using a scheduling service. They said they believe it suppresses views.
With video or regular posting stuff?
Video.
Well, it's very difficult to get that to work anyway.
Yes.
Right. Because I use High Level, and that stuff's easy and does a lot. And High Level has like pre-made ones. I don't know if you know this.
Yeah.
For industry. And I was like, what the heck? I'll just do them and try them. And there was stuff I would never have done. But it was, what do you call a woman who burns her debt?
I have no idea.
Bernadette.
Oh, Bernadette. Ah, damn it. I knew that one was coming.
Yeah. So that stupid shit, right? Which I would have not done, but I did it. And I was like, hey, it's cute, whatever, and a lot of people liked it and stuff, and different ones like that. But I was just trying to do, because the new school that I'm hearing is 3 times a day static posts, right?
Yes.
Twice a day video posts.
I heard, the event I went to this past weekend was all video based. So it was called like How to Go Viral. It was called the Attention.
That was what's his name?
Ryan Magin.
Yeah.
Magin. Yeah.
Yeah.
He created something called the Attention Summit, and he went with a pretty novel idea. He said, I want you guys to come, but I'm not going to charge $1,000 for tickets. I'm going to let you decide how much you want to pay to come. And some people did $1. Some people did $1,000. People, if you want to do the VIP day, that was $1,000. But you could also help sponsor the after party. You could say, I want to put $100 towards it. So like I did $50 for the course because I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to fly down. And then I did $100 for the after party, no matter what. And were given the option. And then there were people, he had an offer at the end, but he was by no means a pitch fest. He only talked about it one time. But there were people there from Argentina, UK. A lot of Canadians came down. And what was interesting is Ryan is known for viral videos, how to get over 1 million views. And instead of him coming up and just talking about how great he is, he had a lot of his clients come in. So his first client ever was Adley, Adley, not A for Adley, the kid, but Adley, the couple that always plays pranks on each other. So that they were there. There's a group I'd never heard of. I'm going to do a post about it later today called the Epic Dental. So they own a dentist office, but they came up with a xylitol gum. And when they just started doing videos with no CTAs, no call to actions, nothing, they would see an extra $120,000 worth of gum purchases come in off Amazon that month. But it was all about
what's the gum?
It's called Epic Dental Gum, and it's got xylitol. So one of the big things they said is, if you brush your teeth right after you eat, you're doing like having a dirty car rim where you're just brushing it into your teeth more. So if you chew the gum after you eat, it helps break things loose from your teeth. It has the xylitol in it, which is supposed to be good for you. And then you brush your teeth later on. But they were selling the gum decently, but they've estimated that just by doing videos, and it could be not even always about the gum, they just do it about their life and everything. Like they did a video about how for Christmas, they don't go visit with other family. It's a married couple and their 3 kids. And they said, after being around toxic family members, some other things, they've decided that their Christmases and their New Year's are meant to be for their core family and not the extended family. And that video got so viral, they had to turn off the comments of people who were attacking them and threatening their life and, wishing all kinds of bad things upon them for not spending it with family. So a lot of people were intrigued by that. Then somebody did a TikTok video. So this is before they were actually on videos. Somebody ran across their gum, went on TikTok, talked about how much it was, and they made an extra 20,000 in sales one day. And they're like, what's going on? So they had to tell their receptionist to ask people when they were buying it, oh, how did you hear about us? And somebody said, oh, through TikTok. And so that was another group that was there. So they estimate, and if I'm repeating myself, apologize, $1.4 million in sales came from just doing videos that it's you being you. You talk about things that you're passionate about, talk about things you care about, and just kind of sharing your life with it. So what's interesting is depending on who's up and who you talk to, oh, it's 5 giveaways in 1 pitch, or something. These people just talk about their life. And yes, they talk about the gum, the product, but it's not a CTA. Then there was another guy, Brandon, I forget his name. He's like one of the top online trainers. And he went and broke down his entire process, but he uses stories. And so it's interesting because he does within his story, it's long enough that it goes 1 to 5 slides is just background story, 1 to 5 slides, testimonials, and then a CTA at the end. And this guy makes a lot of money doing it. And it was just interesting to hear. You've been on doing this for a while. You've been on radio, but how hard was your transition when you went into actually recording yourself versus just auditory recording? Was it tough for you? Was it easy for you?
It was, well, everything's difficult.
Sure.
I challenge myself to whatever makes me uncomfortable is what I do. Mm-hmm. I think what was more, not really the video part. It was just getting a system in place, right, to do video. Mm-hmm. But if you go back to radio, what was hard was going from my normal show to do 2 to 3 hours of somebody else's show that has nothing to do with real estate and finance. Mm-hmm. It had to do with talk radio, politics. And even though I talk politics, because I'm really passionate about what the fuck the state of California is unfortunately doing.
Yes.
We
all watch that from afar and go, what the?
Yeah. Well, there was a TikTok, I think, I don't even know if I sent it to you, about the difference between California and Texas, about a coyote that bites the governor. It talks about how if it bites the California governor, all the different, he spends how much money on all this other stuff and spends so much money and fires people and all this and does this whole program and retrains everybody. But in Texas, if it bites the governor shoots it with the state issued guns. It costs 50 cents for the bullet, and he keeps running. Right. Yeah. It's so true. And I'm just tired of the politics and the whole thing that they're doing to stay in power. So anyway,
nuts.
So back to video first, because we all don't like what we look like. I mean, I know I'm a very attractive person, but yeah, I'm just kidding. It's just one of those things.
Don't make me laugh when I'm drinking. I always almost spit it out.
It wasn't, it really wasn't, because my first I think I have it behind. Oh no, I think I put it away. But the first thing Marsha bought me so I could do video was before freaking phones and you know what I mean? All the video we had. And it was much harder to do video back then and do stuff. And I was trying. And then once 2 years ago, everything's changed. 2.5 years. Pandemic helped a lot.
Oh, yes.
And that goes back to that whole thing. Did it happen to me or happen for me? And all that happened to us, but it was for us at the same time.
You know, along those lines, like going back to the pandemic and changes that helped me, Clubhouse helped save me from just sitting and binge watching TV. And I'm an introvert extrovert, so I'm still shy around people, but I love being around people. And the idea that you couldn't go anywhere, at least I could get on Clubhouse, and I'd stay on that thing 6 hours a day when I wasn't working, get off work and get on Clubhouse.
Yeah.
And but it is interesting to see how much technology has changed. Like how many people have a whole office set up, where you've got the lights, you got the camera, you've got the microphones, everybody at one point had a Yeti. I still have to take mine down because what I did is for Christmas, I got a Shure mic, and I need to attach the arm and everything to here. But it is interesting.
Before you go from there, because I was just on a podcast and the guy was talking about how my stuff was all nice. And, and he talked about his Yeti, getting a good Yeti. I go, there is no good Yetis.
I feel like that's everyone's starter.
Because that's what you see. That's what's promoted out there. Nobody knows the difference between dynamic and God, I can't think of the word. So there's reasons you have these mics. Because my dog just walked in, George. You didn't hear him. Correct. I heard him. I heard the door open. I heard everything. Dynamic is right here. The other ones, they pick up all the sound in the room, and that's what Yetis are. They pick up all the sound.
Well, on our episodes, you can always tell when the if the neighbors decide to have their yard done while we're recording. I'm like, and you get to hear everything that's going on.
Yeah. So. But if you do the right mics, your daughter could be talking to you, and we wouldn't hear it.
Right.
My dogs go. Even though I have the soundproofing of my office at home, that I turn into a studio. You can't hear the dogs because you can't hear a pin drop in here. It is so quiet in here because of the soundproofing. And it's not like I soundproofed all the walls like I did in my old studio, like if I showed the other picture, but it's just these certain soundproof baffle things that I made are just amazing. And they work so well.
I don't want people to belabor on, they have to buy all the first expensive gear to get started. But if you're going to do this long term, that is something that you helped me out with quite a bit. Like the camera here, I went with the laptop camera at first. And while sometimes I'm grainy, that's more because of my upload speed that's available where I live than it is the camera. But it's interesting because when I've gone and done it just off my laptop, I'm like, ooh, yep, that camera is not nearly as good as this one here. So invest in a good camera.
Right. If you got a DSLR that you're not really taking pictures with anymore or doing that kind of stuff, and it has a cable, use that. It's the best one.
That's Ryan was talking about at the event. I think he uses, I think he said it was A6600, and he said it was like $500, $600.
I have a little bit more expensive ones, but that's just because I was playing around when I was because I would take pictures at the events we were at. Right. And I like to take good pictures. Right.
Yeah.
Cameras. iPhones work.
Like a camera guy. Yeah.
iPhones work, but they don't work like a camera with a really good lens. Like the lens I have on this, I would use it for shooting pictures, but because I was having issues with the cameras and everything else, this lens actually works really well because I can get much closer. I do have just a video lens that would really blur out the back of me, but for some reason, because of how I have this set up, it would go here. I would be blurry, and this would be clear. You follow me? So there's just stuff you got to figure out.
And not you,
right? Yeah.
Well, and why is the reason we use the camera we do here that you recommend is because it comes with things like you can.
Avaya, that's a great camera. Excellent camera. That's all I used in the old studio. Every station had that on there because that way you could get closer, adjust over here. Oh, I'm over here. Don't have to move anything. Just move the little, and it's
you can
perfect.
Yeah. Because we do Zooms, so we're on StreamYard currently. For podcasts, you don't know, unless you watch a lot of their stuff, how close or far do they sit. And so you don't want to be like this in your stuff and the host is far, far away, unless you just like pretending like you're the face from the Wizard of Oz. But yes.
Well, they're going to do that to you anyway when they cut it up. So
that they do. I do like in Opus, though, that you can say, no, don't stick my whole face in there. Let's get everything that's in the background. You can kind of choose which way you want to be seen.
I was on someone's podcast last week and they used Riverside, which has changed. I see in the past 3 years, major changes for what we do for podcasting, the software, everything else. In this last 6 months, even more major changes. Last 2 months, you got Opus Pro, there's clips and all the other stuff that we use now, major changes. But I was like, okay, is this how we're going to be on the video? And they were like, and the lady who was like setting it up, hey, so it's like she had no idea what I was asking. Right. And then what happened was when I spread out my screen more, it showed more of my camera back behind me on the screen. So I don't know what they were using or how they were going to do it. But it was a veteran podcast. I was on their podcast, and he was like, I cut out a lot of stuff I say and just focus on what the person I had co-host I have on, not co-host, but the guest. And I was like, why are you taking out your stuff? I mean, the guests are good, but the host is good too. I mean, yeah.
Well, the host is why the audience is there. Guests are vetted, or kind of unofficially approved by the host, but it's the host who created it. So I kind of like when we have a joker on, like we will on Thursday, we will make them the larger picture, but we don't get rid of you and I. We just say, okay, this is the primary person talking. Let's focus on them.
Right. And then we also do the 3 that we're all the same size.
Exactly.
Just in case there's something we want to go over. Yeah.
Sure. It's, are they presenting? Are they going into depth on something? Then we make them the primary person. But if it's just having the conversation, then we look like the Brady Bunch,
which is okay. But the one thing that we talk about is when you're doing, this wasn't supposed to be a show on podcasting, but it ended up being that way. But when you're looking at the screen, the person on the left is supposed to be the host. The person on the right is supposed to be the guest.
I did not know that was a
thing. That is like the typical way it is. There's nothing set in stone, but that's what I took from what I've seen. So if you see a complete opposite, then people don't really know who is who. Because look at even Joe Rogan's on the left, right?
Yeah, he's on the left.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to think of like major, like the Tonight Show and other things, how their desks are set. David Letterman.
Yeah, it's different there, but that's different because they're not a split screen.
True. Oh, yes. Okay. I'm with you now.
Where like Courtney Buford, when he is on occasionally, they have a couch over where you are, where the guests are, and then the desk is the people who are coasting is kind of where I am, and there's 2 separations. It just depends. I saw one that somebody else was on last week, and the desk, it was a Spotify one. The desk was a T. Host was on your side, and the guest was on the other side. It's just, but it doesn't mean when it's on picture to see it, it's not the way that it was supposed to. I always thought that's what I was told, but I don't think there's any, it has to be that way. It just, to me, this makes more sense.
That's why some people, their logo is their face or something about them. And then, if you see the logo up in the corner, oh, that's who the host is. Like we could use Steve as an example. His logo is his ugly mug. So, okay, Steve is the host versus the guest.
He's always on the left.
Is he?
Yeah.
No, because everything I see are him and like I saw one with him and Cossum today, but of course it was a short.
They're upper bottom.
Top and bottom.
Yeah, but that's just how you split it up.
Yeah.
But most of the time, if it's the cross, like it depends on. So that would be how they put it on TikTok, or how they put it on other things. How they set up with the Opus clips.
Right.
Ooh, I wonder what they're using.
Can't imagine. But back to, so we did get kind of sidetracked with podcasts. The main thing that really was interesting about the last weekend was organic videos and posting them. And, there's different people have different theories on what's the most important, but the one consistent thing that was there is you have to keep people for the first 5 seconds. So your hooks need to be important. What is a hook? Something that grabs attention, something you're passionate about, something that makes no sense. So Adley, who got up and talked, like it was a company that they helped do tie-dye. So they just show them dropping a bra in a boiling pot of water and don't explain why. Or a different one was they were going to a family event and they were going to cook ribs, but ribs take 4 hours to do it. The family drive was 5 hours or 4 hours. So they put the ribs in foil and just put them on the car and drove there and wanted to see would the car cook it on the engine. Little pranky stuff like that. But the consistency,
and those are different. Those are not right. Those are different. Like those 2 guys, the husband and wife who do pranks. What do they sell besides products that they probably push afterwards?
They actually just started a viral video company. So that is within the last 30 days what they do. Before it was just they were paid for views. So that was their entire goal, was getting more and more views. The Epic family, the Epic Dental family, they had gum. They have a dentist
Right.
office. But it was when they found is they did strong opinion videos about things that they cared about. That's what really got them more viewers. And so what we've heard, even with past guests we've talked about, is there's kind of different formulas of, it doesn't always have to be educational. Even if you are in something educating, add in something personal, add in something different. Show people who you are beyond what you do for a living. So you and I were talking before we started this of I just came back from the gym. I miss CrossFit gyms being open, and I know I'm a creature of what's the closest proximity wise, or I'll talk myself out of going. So I joined when that place closed. I joined a different gym. I don't do gym pics, but I probably should add it in every once in a while. Now, I'm not a foodie, so you won't see pictures of my food, but you'll see me on an airplane going into an airport lounge, things I get to do beyond being on stage, because that's kind of a fun part of what I love about travel. I don't need a fancy house. I don't have a fancy car. I like going places. I like exploring. I like meeting new people. And sometimes to my detriment, that means lack of sleep.
And so I was always of the school of thought that, okay, on my personal Facebook, I do personal stuff, right?
Yes.
Everywhere else I do my business stuff. But what you're
Mhm.
telling me, I should be doing more personal stuff on TikTok.
Yes. That's what they said, is show them that you're more than just your career. The reason I asked you earlier, was it hard to go to video from everything, is you were already putting yourself out there in terms of radio. For me, my employee mindset that it's still stuck in there a lot was, oh, you just always talk about the company. You don't talk about you.
Right.
In the scariest post I ever posted,
Right.
talking about what I do on my own page. And I was surprised at the number of people who came out supportive, instead of, like I said, some people want to hold you down, some people want to lift you up. Well, the people who are going to put you down, we're going to put you down anyway, no matter what you do. Why not share what you do across platforms? Now, I post way more on the business page because that's where my following is. I'm hoping to cross 24,000 on Instagram today. But on my personal one, like Instagram, I think I have 1,000. But it was still scary because those are people I know in real life. But people,
IRL?
yeah, not even REEL. It was scary
You
for
didn't
me.
like my REEL posts?
I did not
Show
see
the
those.
real you.
Oh, I did not see that one.
Yeah, I was playing on words for a couple of weeks about real. People want to see the real you.
Mm-hmm. People do like highlights. The problem is, this has nothing to do with what we're talking about. If you're not following influencers in the wild on Instagram, that is a great account that captures people trying to, create these moments everywhere they go. So, they're on the beach and somebody's chasing somebody else with a camera or anything like that. It's a fun one to watch just for the hell of it.
But back to your statement about going to video. What you
Mhm,
don't know is in 2008, I started the radio show. You might know that. But in
mhm,
2000, so I was started as a podcast also. So I'm like, how do I take the on air listeners to somewhere else, right? And so that's what I
yes.
started doing. Then I was like, all right, how can I get this to be on like YouTube video? So we hired I can't even talk, a videographer to come in and videotape us and edit it. But it was a nightmare because it took them forever. It took weeks to
Mhm,
get it to do the stuff. And then we'd post it. And then we went to, after the pandemic, to this. And so I've been on video for a long time,
yeah.
but just not posting a lot. Like the last 2 weeks, I didn't post much at all.
Mhm,
And you can see the slowing down of my TikTok and other stuff, because I have so much reels, so much stuff I could post. But it was
yeah.
like, I don't, do I really want to post? It's a holiday. I don't want to post anything. My family posts enough and tags me in it, but I understand the whole thing. I get it all, and how you got to
Mhm,
keep it momentum going and all that
yes.
stuff.
Within the last month, I've been to 3 different events, I think, 2 for sure in person. And the one thing they were talking about is what you and I were talking. I don't remember if it was before we started going live or not, but they want you to post at least 3 times a day. That still sounds scary. I'm doing good with 1 video a day, but they're like, oh no, people show their schedules. They do it 3 times a day,
3 videos
uh,
a day.
3 videos a day. A
Yes.
lot of people will do stories because they're quick, easy, short. but it's something to keep you out there. And it's a question of, does your audience scroll stories or do they scroll the page?
Yeah, but your audience on stories is just your friends.
True. Is it?
Yes.
I know reels get pushed quite a bit.
Hey, reels, yeah, but reels is to everybody. Stories is only to your friends.
Oh, interesting. I wonder why. Maybe it's because people follow him for fitness first, and then they want to become coaches after they like.
Well, there's that. Yeah, but there's that Prospector Pro that I have that goes and talks to your friends to get them to get to your group stuff and all that other stuff. So there's so much you can do to get those people from your friend status over to the other stuff. So, because I only focus really on growing my my business pages, not focusing on growing my friend pages, because I really don't need 5,000 friends.
You don't need them.
Right. I mean, my wife is like, how can you have that many friends?
Yeah. My ex used to call them, they're your acquaintances. I'm like, yeah, but Facebook calls them friends. So you just call them your Facebook friends. If Facebook wants to change the language, we can too.
Yeah. But again, we're all our whole goal right now is to help you become the authority in your industry, but not too much of an authority in your industry.
Correct. I'm excited for the Joker on Thursday. I don't want to give away her profession, but it's a profession that in her area, she had lots of competition. And so she was starting to figure out, how do I stand apart from everyone else? And then
I want to talk about a lot of competition, mortgage guys, real estate people.
Yes.
They're like in my town, there's 31 in our county, 3,100 real estate agents. That's not a lot of people. I mean, that's like a million something. I mean, it's ridiculous amount of real estate agents for our county.
It's the amount of money that people could make for a period of time, right? I mean,
it's just how it is forever. Everybody, the one thing about being from California, you're from California because you have a driver's license and a real estate license.
Now, and I don't know if this is nationwide or not. There used to be a company here locally that you could get your realtor's license in a weekend, and you used to be able to take your test at home, open book. Now you can still do open book, but you have to go to a testing center to get your license in Texas.
Are you talking about pass the course, or are you talking about pass the actual licensing test?
I think it's the actual license now.
Yeah, the actual licensing test. I know in state of California, there's no book allowed. You walk in there and that's maybe to pass the programs to get into be able to go take the test, like the different courses.
Yeah.
But no, here, I went for my broker's license because I have had my broker's license since early 90s. And I know I take it back. I have my real estate license since early 90s. When I went to take my broker's license, it was you sit down and you take the test, and it's in a 2-part test. Problem is, each part took me 20 minutes, so I had to wait for the 3 hours for the second part.
Are you a good test taker?
No, I just know my shit when I study it.
I would study, and so this is going to go back about 20 years. I was studying to get my Microsoft cert, and I know my stuff, but I am I was at the time an anxious test taker. And so I'd take it, and then I'd start second guessing everything.
Yeah, that's
and then
I don't do that.
You don't do that? Oh God.
Because what you do is you get rid of all the right answers when you do that.
Yes. And I was always nervous. I never failed a single one. I passed every single one of my 12 or however many 15 Microsoft certs I needed to get my MCSE, which was a Microsoft certified engineer, Microsoft certified support engineer, something like that. But everyone I'd stress and thought, I got to fail. I'm just getting nervous and make myself pale and sweat and you name it. So not that way so much anymore. But back then I was so nervous because that was going to be my future. It's funny.
No, I also learned how they do the tests. If there's an absolute and a truth and false, it's false.
Ah, really?
Yeah. And on average, it's always Charlie out.
Oh, yeah. Go C.
Yeah, it's always C.
Yep.
On average. Yeah. I mean, they have other ones, and then, all the above.
And that's an interesting
A and B, A and C.
Yes.
They only put A and C for one reason, not to fuck with you, because it's right.
There you go. A lot of people were talking about the interesting part when people start making videos is they think, who am I? What's my credibility? Right. Do I have all these certifications or not? Should I go back to school? So when we're talking about the test taking and everything, I do think that used to be the case. It used to be knowledge was power. You had to have things. With where we're going, not necessarily a requirement anymore. It's more about what can you do than where have you gone to school.
Well, we all feel that we are, fake.
Yes.
Whatever they call that.
Imposter syndrome.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. And that's true, but but everybody feels that way. So move on.
Yeah.
And if they don't, they're a narcissist and nobody's following them anyway.
Who was it? Like one of Steve's friends says, the only imposters don't get imposter syndrome. That's a great quote, and it's true. Back to the Joker part. So she is in a profession. There's a lot in her industry. So she had to learn how to stand out. She picked out a certain book. That book helped her so much that she then went and became certified by that company. And then the company was bought out from this original person. And now she is one of their certified coaches that helps teach it. So in addition to having her career, she's expanded to how does she create social circles, all kinds of fun things.
That's not a story certificate, is it?
No, it's a book yourself solid certification.
Because there's another one that I interviewed somebody, and the people wrote how the hero's journey and all those stuff that everything. Yep. Right. Well, this is basically, this guy created a whole thing about how you tell the story in order to get your story across. And these people I interviewed, they became certified in it, and it's helped their business drastically.
I wonder who that is. Now, Michael,
I'll tell you afterwards.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we'll talk about it in a sec. Because the same guy that wrote Book Yourself Solid has a speaking company called Heroic Speaking, but he sold Book Yourself Solid off a year ago. Anyway, so that's how I met her. I'd actually met her in the industry she's in. I spoke at an event in November, and then found out I wanted to pick up the book, found out she was certified in it. So that's why she's going to be our guest on Thursday. I'm looking forward to it.
Well, not only that, but how to be the authority. We really want to focus. I mean, we've been last year, we were all over the place. And I still think, because that's all I talk about now when I'm on somebody else's podcast, is how to become the authority in the industry. But even becoming that authority, if you don't market, who the fuck cares if you're the authority?
Exactly. And that's what this Book Yourself Solid goes through a lot of. First, who are you? Why do you do it? How do you share your message? Who do you want to work with? Who do you not want to work with? So they call it the velvet rope policy. So like when you go to a club, are you going in, do you want general admission people or do you want the VIPs? And there's a lot of good things that they teach in there. And part of that being your authority is if you can establish that and you market it right, because they actually say once you learn that, then you have fun marketing your services. Then that's how you book yourself solid with the clients you want but you have to build that authority, that brand. And this is from a different podcast I was on. They talked about the worst place to be is in the middle. So some people want to be the cheapest. Oh, we're the cheapest out there. But there's somebody who wants to pay for the $5,000 hamburger. So restaurants have something ridiculous on their menu for that one person who wants to spend a ridiculous amount of money. But when people are on Instagram and all these things, they're not taking pictures of their Corollas. They're taking pictures of their McLarens and, their Lambos and things that cost money. So that's what we learn to associate with success is how much do you charge? What do you, how big's your house? How big's your car? You name it. So when you're learning to price yourself out there, there's a detriment to underselling things. Like when I first got started speaking, $500. Okay, well, I'll do it for $500. Now, if you say $500, like, ooh, do you suck?
I don't get out of bed for less than $10,000.
Yeah, I wish.
That's your new statement.
But it's just interesting when me personally going from being an employee where I'm told my value, other than I was in sales. So you got to, you could impact your career to a degree. When you go into business like yourself, you have to become an authority instead of a good cog in the wheel, or you can't survive. Yep. And I spent 2 decades as a cog. So,
damn.
Yep.
Yeah, I actually one of the people I was on their show last week. I told them they needed to interview you because of your whole story about, because they brought up the whole thing about telling who you really are, and I explained what you talked about when you got fired a year later. You brought it up, and it was a huge post. I'm like, because people want to know who you are. Period.
Yeah. Well, and there's a lot of shame in things. It's being fired wasn't the only one. I did a post after I got divorced because when we got divorced, it wasn't, oh my God, I hate your guts. Did I like her when we were going through the divorce? No, because you have to pull up every single crappy thing that went on to tell your attorney and all this kind of stuff. But when we did the post, it's like, look, you can support me without tearing her down. We're always going to have a kid together. We're going to focus on being kick-ass co-parents who aren't married anymore. And so we'll go on trips together and we do things together. We did, We've traveled to places, we've spent holidays together, and you just learn what's the right focus instead of, well, it has to be, oh, it's all about me or all about them. No, it's all about the kid. But in this instance, it's all about your business or something. But there's a lot of shame of, and this is what I love about your podcast, Inner Edison. You want to hear about people's failures because that's what we're all looking for. Is not shit on. I don't want to be alone in this thing. Who else has done it? What have they gone through? And there's a lot of shame around divorce. There's a lot of shame around getting fired. And that's why that post took off, because there's been so many people, and there's going to be a lot more. The way things are going with AI and industry and what we can be replaced with, look, that crap's going to happen quite a bit. You're not alone. Reach out to somebody who's been through it.
Right. Yeah, but it's going to get to a point where people will know the AI versus regular. I don't care. You'll be able to tell the difference, and they're going to go, we're not going to listen to that one. We're only going to listen to this one. Yeah.
Yes. Well, it's like you and I talked about before. One of the better quotes that I heard was, you won't be replaced by AI, but you're going to be replaced by somebody who incorporates AI into their life. Right. We should have Manoj back on. He's got an interesting perspective that eventually AI will take over so many things that we'll all just get X amount a month to live off of. And I'm like, well, then who's going to live in the big house? Who's going to live in the small house? But we'll bring him back on.
Well, yeah, but when that happens, you won't be here.
Yeah.
That's the Star Trek.
That is it's the scary utopian future.
No, what I'm saying is, in the future, in Star Trek and all those places, Star Trek alone, they don't work. Right. They don't get paid. Everybody's at the same level.
Right. And that's the time traveler. That was the whole thing about the book, right? Is there was the workers who lived in the subterranean who still had to do those other jobs. So everybody else just kind of sat around and ate and didn't do anything. So who knows where we're headed? That's
that socialism light that we have right now that's appealing in certain places.
Yep.
And that needs to change. And what I'm saying, how is this? Yeah. So what we're saying is, you guys better make your money in the next couple of years, because you might not be able to after that.
Well, make your name for yourself and then make your money.
Because what I mean is, but if you're already at this level and you're talking and you're doing stuff, if you haven't put things together so that you can build off of it, if AI comes out, it's helping us right now. But if it takes over a different way, it could affect us in the pocketbook.
Absolutely. One before you and I were talking about this last week. Billie Jean did a whole course last week, a Zoom, about how he uses something called HeyGen, so HeyGen, and to create his advertisements for him now. So you give it the script, it takes a picture of you, you sign a waiver, it says, yes, it's me, and I know that you're doing it. And it took pictures of him and created what looked like him talking into a camera, and it's not him. That's crazy to think where we're headed.
Yeah, but on Podmatch, so there was a whole course you had to take to finalize stuff. The dude's an avatar, I could tell.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I could tell it because it's Alex. I can't say his last name, but I'm like, okay, that's not him. I've interviewed him.
Yes,
I know exactly. I could just tell it was an avatar. So he must have did the same thing.
So. That's the question. So our buddy Joe, he helps dealerships with bots on auto responding and answering questions. That's fine for generic people who come in. That's not going to be good for people who know the person behind it. It's kind of like if you've ever sent somebody a DM and you can tell, I'm talking to somebody right now who's based in Dallas, and the person I'm talking to, I don't feel like is them, because there's inconsistency in how they talk. And like we talked 2 or 3 weeks ago, and they reached back out. Oh, hey, how's it going? Do you want to book a call? And then they couldn't remember what we talked about before. And I'm sitting here thinking, is this the person, or is this someone that's their VA pretending to be them? And it creates that, well, do I even want to work with somebody who's pretending to be somebody else? What am I going to get if I ever work with them?
Right. Because I'd set up high level. They have a new AI bot that's supposed to be smarter, and you teach it. It's, dude, no matter what someone texts, it's like, hey, I would. It's like, dude, that doesn't work, right? Because somebody had sent me something which we were about something totally different, and it did this phrase and send me your email, blah blah about. It's like, okay, that's not what they were saying. You have to train them, you have to teach them, but they're still not going to be they're going to be close, but they're probably a couple more years they'll be perfect for answering your phone calls and getting to the right area.
Right.
But I want to go back on something we talked about, if I can remember now that I just lost my train of thought.
We're talking about AI. We're talking about book yourself.
No, way before that. Anyway, well, no, I guess another day.
Yeah, next week. We'll save Thursday for the Joker.
Well, unless I can remember it by then. No, it's just we were talking and I didn't want to
write it
interrupt
on your
you.
hand. Just
no. I don't want to look away and write. I don't want to look at my phone like you do.
I only do that occasionally. I've been pretty good on this one.
Only one time.
I have to keep something in my hand to keep me occupied, so I don't hold my phone.
ADD.
Yeah, slightly.
So, yeah. Anyway,
all right.
All right, take us out.
All right, everyone. Thank you for watching ACES 53 again. What does ACES stand for? Attitude, commitment, enthusiasm, and smile. Best way to support us is to subscribe. What do we have on Tuesdays? Just Ed and I. Occasionally on Thursdays, we have jokers. Who are jokers? Somebody who has a special skill or talent that we want to share with y'all that will help you grow as your business, as a person, you name it. So keep an eye out for those people as well. And we look forward to seeing you next time.
Yeah, we'll see you on Thursday. Thanks for being here. Thanks,
Ed.
Brian.